All right, this is just We the People News. Man, when I quit studying, I started catching up on some videos. I see a couple of great videos come up between here and there. It's like, dang, I need to make another video. So this is just We the People News. I'm not an attorney, not giving legal advice. Anything I say or do is just educational purposes only. Okay, why? Because I'm not an attorney. All right, so never look straight forward. Always look around to be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Now, that being said, let's go here. Check this guy. Win in court. All right, you had to dig through there, okay? It's William Henshaw, which used to be Bill Henshaw, one and the same. But I don't know how good you're going to be able to see it, particular order you go on, okay? Most of my shit's on TV, so it's easy for me to see and do and read. All right. This guy, all his document is really consists of one thing: challenging the Fourth Amendment that's never been legally ratified. Now, that being said, I done my research many years ago. Okay, it's never been legally ratified. However, I was not knowledge enough to challenge all that. Okay, so but while I was doing all my research, jumping, right, from all these videos, uh, all due to me losing in court over a darn traffic ticket. I did not run a stop sign. I was in a junky car, and the cop made a claim that I ran a stop sign, so he can, well, illegally search my car. Right? It was a junky car, and my mother-in-law was moving. It was her car, and they wanted to plunder. As such a good guy I was, I let him do it and all that kind of crap. Created a big mess. Had to clean up the mess, load everything back up, and but he made the claim I ran a stop sign. So I said, no, I'm gonna fight this. Okay. Now I fought other tickets in court, with being a truck driver and all that, but it was pretty mild and simple. But this case, it was a plain out blunt lie. um, I didn't run that stop sign. And the judge particularly told me at this time, and this is what disturbed me, that he is not going to rule against his officer. But I'm innocent, Judge. Well, I'm not going to rule against my officer. Okay. So, and then this man turned into a victim. You can say whatever you want to say. In short, that was the essence of the conversation. I challenged. I told him I started studying law, and I didn't want to be a liar, so I started doing research. Here we are today. Now, this is, I have actually a couple of his documents. So, y'all, whether you believe the 14th Amendment has or has not been legally ratified, lawfully ratified, I shouldn't say legally, it's got great stuff in there. So, it's got case laws and this, that, here, and there. I mean, it's a pretty good read. So, for educational itself, you guys can get it. Now, it's fairly cheap. I believe I paid a couple of $100, maybe. And when you go on these other deals, you're talking about, a couple of thousand on documents and this, that, here, and there. His documents to read, and it's really good and well read thing. And he has, cases after cases after cases after cases on there. So you may want to research the case that's on there, right? And like I did at the time. Now I don't remember these cases, but anyway, let me play him. Okay, here's win in court. Bill Henshaw. Let's see. Let's go back. Go.
Well, and so here again, you're the local constitutional creep from San Francisco. And a follow-up to the video I just did on abortion. This one applies in particular, though, across the board. It doesn't matter what you're involved in here. traffic court, child procurement syndicate, things like that, mortgage cases. It doesn't matter, all the criminal, quote unquote. And that is, there's a lot of issues that come into play here, with regard to the extent of power of the legislature, especially in my former hometown of Washington, D.C. And what you're going to find out is you start asking the real questions here. And even if these governments would have the power they claim to have, Washington, D.C. is probably about 2 or 3% of what they think they have, because of that, original intent of those racist framers. And the fact we're supposed to have sovereign, independent states admitted into this union, which we don't have now. That's why Washington, D.C. thinks they can do everything. As you get into the boardroom at New York bankers in New York, which we...
Now I'm going to pause right here, just right quick. Now, the 14th Amendment, some of us knows, right, turned everybody into a corporate body. That's the reason why persons is involved in everything we do now. Okay? Before the 14th Amendment, the officer, when you wanted to make a claim, the man sued the officer, the man. You didn't sue the officer, sued the man officer. When you wanted to go after a corporation, the man sued the man that owned that corporation. Then these bankster things and this 14th Amendment and putting everything in a corporation body. Now, basically what it is, McDonald's is suing Burger King. But, meanwhile, the owners are just saying, yeah, I don't own nothing, and I'm happy about it. And, I make $30,000 a year due to my taxes, even though my bank account says, $1 billion. Thank you, 4th Amendment, or 14th Amendment, and everybody agreeing to it. Breathe. It's kind of like my last video, the corruption. Okay? But, that being said, I wanted to clarify, 14th Amendment was men going after men. Alright? And even at that time, a corporation went after a corporation. Okay? Now, everybody's supposed to be a corporation, so we all sue the corporation. The only one that gets screwed is that regular people, right? Because even though we're supposed to be some form of corporation, we don't have the immunity that the government keeps giving out to the rich people, Walmart, CEOs, even the small ones, and all that kind of stuff. And all this trust thing and all this trickery they've done. All right, sorry.
Probably can't do. And you go in there and look at their map of the United States, probably doesn't have any state lines. And they don't think they need any. That's how bad it is. But you start making some real arguments there, and you'll learn those. Send me an email, youlearningcourt@gmail.com, and you don't go in there and argue violation of due process.
By the way, people, bad time to put it because of the due process we talked about in the last video. Breathe. Breathe. What was I going to say? In the Constitution, there is no such thing as a U.S. citizen. Why? Because everything was state citizen. When you came from abroad and you moved over here, you was a state citizen. Because, well, the federal government at the time did not control the states. And they didn't control the people until after the 14th Amendment. Now, it grew into that. It just extended. The 14th Amendment just flipped a 190-degree turn, especially after the bankruptcy of the United States Republic. Not the corporate body, the Republic filed bankruptcy, and it turned it into corporations. All right, just saying.
14th Amendment doesn't exist, never did. You should want nothing to do with it, among other things. But you do go in there and do is say, wait a minute. If Congress does have that power, the original Congress might have, But we still don't think so in many cases. But today, they have problems up to logic, especially Article 1, Section 2, that provides that, all the members of Congress to be qualified have to be inhabitants of the state they represent. And what you'll learn with my materials is there are no states remaining which were admitted into this union. That's the ratification of the non-existent 14th War Amendment. I've got a hell of a brief on that issue alone. Ratification of that amendment violated all 6 articles of the Constitution, a gruesome grand slam for violations. And that's what you'll learn. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. The net effect today is, and for the last 140 years, very arguably, we have 0 qualified members in the House or the Senate. There's nobody home. And the way they act these days with all the debates and statements and civil rights crap, they're acting exactly like they do nothing. This is at least truth in advertising. So we have that to deal with. And then we have the racial representation, Article 1, Section 3, maximum ratio, 30,000 inhabitants to 1 representative in the House of Representatives. And wouldn't you know, with 325...
Right here. I've told you guys this before in previous videos. Some of you guys are new, some of you are not. 11,000 representatives we're supposed to have, not 435, 36, to be clearly representing us. Now, I called my representatives and never ever spoke to them. So how, in fact, is he actually representing me? Just saying, y'all. Try yours. See if you can get them to get in touch with you. Just saying.
A million people today. How many do we need? Noting the fact that Congress has been limited to 435, courtesy of the Reinforcement Act of 1929. We'll learn all about that. But we should have 435, but we should have, you ready for this? 11,500. And it's more than mere numbers. Puts the two-party system out of business, exactly where it belongs. So even if they had that kind of power in Washington, and they don't, it wouldn't help. For those reasons alone. And then you go into the fact with the Senate, and those of you that don't originally know, the original intent, said that, the senators were appointed by the legislatures of sovereign independent states admitted into this union. Since the creation of the non-existent 17th Amendment, senators are now elected by the people, quote unquote, and that can't happen either. What they've done, if the sovereign independent states still exist, have taken them completely out of the picture. There's nothing remotely resembling a federated republican government of defined and limited powers. Even if they could enact things, they can't do it under these circumstances. The states are gone and have been for quite a while. So to learn more about all these issues, send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com. And you'll also find out.
Hang on there a second again, y'all. Now, the senator issue, in short, they're supposed to represent the state's interests, okay? Not the people's, all right? That's what the representative for is, for the people, okay? Now, we call our representatives in the state and tell them, you need to let go of this guy, the senator, because he's not representing our state clearly, okay? He's going against our state. Our representatives go in there and fire him. There is no such things as how long it takes. They go in there and just jerk them out. Nope, we got to replace you because the people have spoken. Once again, the federal government busts their 2 cents in there, and the Congress members said, oh, well, there's not enough Congress, so since we shortened it down to 400 people instead of 11,000, we're just going to confiscate the state's interests and put the senators for the people. Well, wait a minute. Where's our three-tier government that we keep talking about? Representatives for the people, senators for the state, the president for the war. I mean, the president has no say over any state, constitutionally speaking, and I'm not giving legal advice, okay? So do your own research.
But the states themselves don't have any Republican form of government guaranteed.
P.S. The even president don't even have the right to speak to me. Just saying.
By Article 4, Section 4, for those of you who don't know, how many times has the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on that issue in 230 years? Once. Goes back to Luther v. Borden in 1852, and the court called it a political question at that time. And it might have been. I'll give them credit. In that era, it might have been. It sure as hell won't be when we get there. And we take the position not only do we have no Republican form of government in the states, we have what they would readily recognize as North Korea. It's not only a democracy, three bowls and two sheep voting on what's for dinner. We have an elected despot system. That's all there is. You go to vote and you have your say, and that's the end of it. But the problem with that is, that this system, again, courtesy of that 14th War Amendment, assumes all of their citizens are ignorant or incompetent. And you read Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, what does it say? All persons should be, capital letters, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state in which they reside. Not how it works. We don't have a residence anywhere. We're domiciled in a state judicial district. They can't even do effective service process on you. And you'll learn more about that one too. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And it just goes on and it gets a lot better. Because what they didn't tell anybody who ratified the amendment, quote unquote, and none of them had the power to do it, by the way, you'll learn about that too, was that what they really did was created, in effect, new states, and they also created subordinate corporate citizenship. Nobody knew it, even if they had the ability to ratify the amendment. That non void, non pro tunc ab initio for at least those regions. And that's all they have. The 14th War Amendment. The sooner we get rid of that, the better off we're all going to be, including your family, your children, and your posterity. And the justices on the court know this right now. First time in 90 years it started to act like a judicial court. Now we get issues in there like that and get rulings on these kind of issues. That puts all of these bastards out of business. Unless or until, they come into, full court.
Speaking of which, the one that passed away in Alpine, Texas, he did speak of this 14th Amendment, that the courts will not accept it because it would put our system in chaos. So he knew that it was illegally done, unlawfully done. And I can't think of his name right now, okay? But that being said, he knew this. And they ignored it. So hopefully he gets some documents up there. He's got some documents with some people and kind of clearing this mess up. So we'll see.
With the original intent of the framers and that federated Republican form of government of defined and limited powers. And you can learn how to get all of that done. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. That's how good it is, and really for everybody when you think about it. It doesn't matter what
Alright, so this has been 20 minutes. So this is long enough. Check his documents out, y'all. It's really reasonable price considering what all the other stuff you can get. And it's going to be one heck of a educational read, whether you believe in it or not. There's cases after cases in there that you could research. So it's win in court. All right. You just have to get it big enough where you can see this little picture here and pick him out of the box. Okay. And it's always him. There's nobody else. So if you push on there and it doesn't show this face, wrong one. All right. Geez. One more time right up there. All right. This is just with the People News. Okay. As right now, this is the quandary we're in. What jurisdiction are we actually in? These are the People News. Bye, y'all.